Hello, everyone. I know we are on here like 10 minutes early, but I just couldn't wait. Okay. I haven't been on here in a week. So I was like, I have to get on here and talk to my people. Hi, guys. I am so sorry that we did not have any lives last week. We were all on vacation. We are all enjoying time with our families. So thank you guys so much for being graceful with us. And we appreciate you understanding that we were out of town and enjoying our families. But with that being said, we are back. We are more ready than ever to keep defending this beautiful flag and this beautiful country and keep bringing you guys the truth as it happens. So, first thing I want to say is breaking news. America is still the greatest country in the entire world, regardless of what it looks like around you guys. Freedom, liberty, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Hallelujah. America is amazing. And it doesn't matter that people say this is offensive. It's not offensive. What this American flag represents is not offensive. Okay? So get out of here with that.
America is exceptional.
It is exceptional. I love it.
Hey, Michael, Bruce, Tracy, everybody. How are you? Good to see everybody.
Oh my gosh, I've missed you guys so much. You have no
Trump
idea.
won. I love it.
Yes. America. God bless America.
Good
Amen.
to see you, Ruben. Good to see all of you.
How is everybody doing? It's Monday. I know, Monday. Ew. But hey, you know what? You made it through. We're almost, bedtime. So we're all right. We made it through. We kicked Monday in the tush. Now we get to move on to Tuesday, but not before we talk about the news.
Bum.
I know, right? First thing I want to say is, can you please like and heart this video and share it. Share it everywhere. That's how you break the algorithms, because Facebook likes to censor us. I'm sorry. They like to shadow ban us. So everybody share this, please. Thank you. Mel wants Hudson. Like, nah, you don't. You don't. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Some of you, good afternoon. Yes, USA forever. God bless America. Oh, love it. You guys are awesome. Okay, let's do this. So the first piece of news that I have is U.S. Border Patrol and Sheriff's Departments are recording high numbers of illegal immigrant deaths as the summer heat kicks in. In June, 109 bodies were recovered by Border Patrol, up from 61 in May, according to preliminary numbers obtained by the host of Tripwires and Triggers from Customs and Border Protection. That brings the total for the fiscal 2021 to 321 bodies recovered by Border Patrol, with 3 months to go.
Do coyotes have a money-back guarantee?
Oh, Lucas.
Sorry.
The fact of the matter is that we're still not calling this a crisis. Okay?
Unbelievable.
I just can't. I mean, we've actually seen people who are there. Not Kamala Harris. She went to On the Border. That's not the border. The southern border. On the Border is a restaurant. That have been there, seen what is happening, and we're still, if this was Donald Trump, oh my goodness.
It's terrible. It's unbelievable.
So, top far-left figures in American politics were silent on Sunday as Cubans took to the streets crying out for freedom from the nation's communist dictatorship. Although Joe Biden wasn't silent. He said, oh my goodness, I gotta find this. Go ahead and start talking about that for a second, Lucas, so I can try to find this.
So, anybody who's watched these shows knows that on the spectrum of constitutionalist to statist, Kaylee and I are very constitutional. We believe in the fundamental rights endowed by our Creator that reason will lead you to, as a matter of course, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In Cuba, they have been denied those rights for a long time. And as soon as the edge of the sword dulls, they're going to start clamoring for those rights back. And that's what we're seeing. And it's not going to stop. I mean, no more than it would have stopped for the colonists in, the late 1700s when we fought for our independence.
Okay, let's see. Is this the right one? Biden calls Cuba protests to call for. Okay, yeah, I think this is the right one. Bear with me, guys. Sorry. I should have had this pulled up, but I didn't. So here we are.
Their attempts to silence the voice of the people of Cuba. And we're also closely following the developments in Haiti in the wake of the horrific assassination of the president that recently took place. The people of Haiti deserve peace and security, and Haiti's political leaders need to come together for the good of their country. Over the weekend, I dispatched a high-level expert delegation to assess the situation and to determine where the United States can offer our support. And finally, as a close neighbor and friend of the people of both Cuba and Haiti, the United States stands ready to continue to provide assistance, and I'll have more for you as we move on. But the purpose of the meeting today is we've convened a group of law enforcement.
Cut that junk off. That's about as
Listen.
inspiring as a dictator.
Was he reading a book? Was he
God.
reading a book?
How hard is it to explain to people that the arc of liberty, as slow as it sometimes is, always, always, always bends toward freedom? And the people in Cuba are not going to sit by forever and tolerate tyranny. They're just not going to. As soon as the comfortability of Castro's Cuba fell away a half a generation after his death, they're finally standing up asking for better. And they're not going to stop. They may be able to silence them and put them down for a while, but eventually those people are going to stand up and ask for their unalienable rights to be recognized. Period.
Yep.
So,
well, this is what I found the most funny about Biden even speaking on the matter is he's basically told us that our freedom doesn't matter to him and we need to get F something or another fighter jets to defend it because that's the only way we'll defeat the government. But he's over here saying, Cuba, you should really stand up for your freedom. It's just really important. I mean, it's unalienable. Right? Do you even know what unalienable means, Joe?
That you'll never hear that man say those words. You're not going to hear him say, just like he avoided saying endowed by their creator, you know, the thing. Just like he avoided the word creator, he will avoid unalienable rights because ever since Henry Crowley at the turn of the century, progressives do not believe in the idea of individual, listen to me carefully, individual unalienable rights. Individual unalienable rights get in the way of a statist's ability to run the show. Period. So you're not going to hear Joe Biden talk about unalienable rights of Cubans. You're not going to hear Joe Biden talk about the economic security of the Haitians or their freedom to avoid vaccines in Haiti. You're not going to hear that because he doesn't believe it. And none of his ilk believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on period.
Period. Okay, so let's move on from that little debacle and let's move right into this. The risk of death or severe illness from C19 in teenagers and children is extremely low. According to 3 new studies from the United Kingdom, the studies provide the most detailed analysis to date on the impact of C19 on children and confirm earlier findings for those aged 18 and younger that they are at very low risk of becoming severely ill or dying from the disease. So this poses my question. Why are we still masking our children?
Okay, let's try this. Here's what I want to tell you folks in California. Do we have any viewers right now watching us from California? If so, go ahead and drop your information, your name, your location, whatever, in the comments so I can shout you out. Because here's the deal.
So we can pray for them?
Californians, hear me well. Put my lawyer hat on for a minute. You need to take those studies from the UK. You need to take the studies from the Journal of the American Medical Association that show that the effects of masking on children and the carbon dioxide intake and so on and so forth are detrimental to their health. You need to take those. You need to go find somebody. Hey, David, there you go. David, you're my guy. You do it. Go out there and find a lawyer. There's several right-wing legal groups out there that are willing to take this case, but they've got to have somebody in California with kids that has standing. You need to sue that state to prevent your kids from wearing masks when school starts back up. I can tell you right now, Kaylee, if this happens in Ohio, if Emperor DeWine decides that my kids going to public school are going to have to wear masks, I'm going to grab those studies, write up a petition, and he's going to be sued in court immediately. Because we're never going to beat these fools until we play the games that they've set up.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Thank you. Amen, brother.
So frustrating.
Hey, you want to talk about Tucker Carlson? Okay, so wait a minute. First of all, explain to everybody what the title of tonight's live is all about. Tell them what that means specifically.
Okay, you all know that logic and reason are inescapable. Whether you believe in God or not, the unalienable rights that I've been talking about this whole show are the logical, reasonable end to somebody just sitting around and realizing that they're among other people and trying to think, how do I function within this society? That's the logical ends to thinking that way are the unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The right to be safe, to be alive, barring some compelling reason why you shouldn't be free, barring some compelling reason why you shouldn't be, and be able to pursue better for yourself and your progeny absent some compelling reason why you shouldn't be. Those are logical ends to the idea of freedom that is in every person's heart from the time that they're old enough to understand it, right? So the logical ends of statism being a large, powerful state government of some kind. I don't mean state as in state of Ohio. I mean state as in governing system. So in our case, the central government, the federal government is our strongest governmental entity. They may not touch the most things in your day-to-day life, but they are certainly the strongest. If you don't believe me, look around 2020 and see everything that happened. Look at what the CDC is doing every day to restrict our rights continually, regardless of science. Point made. So the logical ends of statism are Tucker Carlson being spied on and unmasked with impunity, communism failing in Cuba, and the left acting surprised as though they just don't understand. The socialists in Congress remaining silent because how do they win with that story? They don't. If they call it out and say, Cubans, you're crazy, you need communism, then they look insane and they challenge this populist movement that's going on in Cuba. If they go the other way and stand with the folks that are asking for freedom, then they undercut their whole case in Congress that they've been making for the past 2 years. The Congressional National Police Force, basically the Capitol Police now going national, having offices in San Francisco and Florida. Are you kidding me? Why? The door-to-door vaccine checks that Biden has floated, FBI asking Americans to turn in their family members, the election nonsense that's going on, the media being completely silent on all of it. Those are the logical ends to statism, to overrun state power. That's what the title of the show is about. And you could take any one of the stories. Let's just start with Tucker Carlson, because that's where you were headed next, Kaylee. This guy is he's a commentator. He's not been my favorite commentator throughout the last 20 years. I used to watch him a little bit on Crossfire, and I used to literally scream at the television and say, how stupid can you be, you squirrely little bow-tied menace? Okay, so he's not my favorite guy in the world, but he is a Republican, and he's also a member of the media on the right. And the fact that he's being spied on by the NSA or whoever it is, we don't even completely know, but his sources came from the NSA. The fact that he's being spied on is one thing. The fact that whoever is spying on him has violated federal law by unmasking him as an incidental target is wholly illegal. Rick Grinnell said at CPAC that whoever it is that unmasked him should be held accountable. Does anybody believe that's going to happen? Of course not.
No.
But it's all the same. It's completely ridiculous. It's the kind of stuff that we have to stand up against. The vaccine checks door to door. Those are the kinds of things that I don't think, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't think that people can effectively stand up against the things that are constantly happening week to week to week to week without understanding where it came from, where it's at, and where it's going. Where it came from is the idea of progressivism. It's the idea that the founders had it wrong, a fundamental document protecting the American people and our way of governing from the idea that the federal government had some kind of general welfare police power. Moving away from that is dangerous. And that's what the left has tried to do since the turn of the 20th century, and probably even a little bit before. Go ahead.
How many times? Okay. Just put a heart in the comment or something. If you've heard me say the left's goal is to make the Constitution of the United States null and void. They want it to be gone. How many times have you heard me say that? Because I've been preaching that for months. That is their ultimate goal. That is number one on their list. It's the only thing that's blocking them from having what was here before, what our founders took us away from. Communism.
Yeah.
That's it.
And everybody's going to like and heart this because I know we've all said it forever. But before we get past it, I did get a question from Debbie. Debbie, I see your question. Why don't you like Tucker, may I ask? Listen, my dislike of Tucker goes back a long, long, long time. Everybody goes through changes in their enlightenment, in their political understanding. I have to believe that Tucker Carlson has moved to the right a little bit, that he has gotten more dedicated to fundamental constitutional understanding in the last 5 to 10 years, and that's why he is saying the things he's saying and popular on television, and not simply because he saw a space. There's a void on national television since Bill O'Reilly for somebody who will speak that way, who will run their show with an opening monologue, get to the news, have a couple guests, get to the point, and move forward. And it just so happens that Tucker Carlson is the guy doing it right now. I hope that he is sincere in his newfound beliefs, but I've been following this game for a long, long time, and I can tell you he's not always been that way. I'm not going to sit here and demean the guy or say anything about his character because I don't know him personally. I'll just say that there was a time when I couldn't trust him as a true constitutional conservative. But you're right. Lori says it. We all change. We do. Kaylee is a perfect example of somebody who
That's what I was going to say. Last year at this time,
yep.
Would you have wanted me on this platform speaking to these people?
I've always
about
wanted
politics.
You, so that's not fair,
well,
of course.
You know what I'm saying.
But let me just make this very, very clear. I don't dislike Tucker Carlson. All right. I'm going to take him at his word and trust that he is sincere in his beliefs and he's moving forward in the right direction. And I give him all the praise for that. His show is great. He does a great job. He has no right. And I wouldn't care if it was Brian Stelter, Joy Reid, Tucker Carlson, Dan Bongino. I don't care who it is. The federal government does not have the right under the Fourth Amendment to spy on them as individuals without a warrant. Period.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
Now, if they are stumbling across some of his information incidental to communications abroad, that's one thing. And if that's happening, he should be masked. And for those of you who aren't aware, the way that works is if they are targeting a foreign individual who happens to be emailing back and forth with Tucker Carlson, They are supposed to take that email and mask who the email is to, who's in the United States, so that the email should read U.S. Citizen 1. And anybody who sees that email should only see U.S. Citizen 1. They should not know that it's Tucker. The fact that they
Right.
knew shows that he's been unmasked. And there's
Right.
plenty of controversy about unmasking that went on clear back when Trump was president that involved Joe Biden. And clearly, our federal government doesn't give a crap what the masking laws are. And that is a problem to me. That's what I'm getting at. So Tucker Carlson, it doesn't matter if it's him or somebody from the left, it's not right, absent a warrant. And there's not been a warrant in this case, according to the NSA that we know of so far. They've said themselves, he's not the target of the investigation. Then how do we know it was him?
Right.
Period.
That's where they messed up. Where they messed up.
There's that. We've got, but to move forward, people are asking about the Haitian president being assassinated. There's so many things going on right now that I just felt like when Kaylee said, hey, what do you think would be a good title for this show? I said, The Logical Ends of Statism. Because whether it's in Haiti or Cuba or the United States or anywhere else in the world, moving away from the idea of fundamental individual liberties, individual rights, big R rights given to us by nature, God, whoever, something bigger than us, something that reason can't fail you in. Getting away from that to where you give power over to your government to control your life is a terrible, 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 terrible thing. And the ends of it, the logical end where that leads, looks like these kinds of things that you're seeing in Cuba, Haiti, and elsewhere, and even in the United States in some places.
Yep.
And it's wrong. And frankly, it's a line too far. It's way too far for many people. And for the radical left, it hasn't gone far enough. For some in the Democrat Party, they just can't foresee the Democrat Party surviving radical leftism. Look at James Carville. He stood up and frankly said as much. Bill Maher is out there saying, how do we survive this wokeism as a party? The Democrat Party is really going to struggle to get through this. Why? Because I don't care who you are, if you're somebody who watches Primetime Patriots or if you're somebody who just barely pays attention to the 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 7 o'clock news, and you feel it in your spirit, in your gut, in your heart, whatever, that you should have a certain amount of unalienable freedom in this country. And the more that gets taken away, and the more people call for that to be taken away in lieu of safety or whatever the reasoning might be, the more you're going to have people fighting against it. Thank God our founders were smart enough to codify things like the right to bear arms, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, so that we could keep a lot of that stuff safe.
Amen. I was just thinking about this because it's on my list, the door-to-door back checks. From a legal stance, is that so? Okay, let's just say this. I'm just going to hang up a no trespassing sign. Is that enough to keep them off my property? To ask if I've been jabbed?
Well, I would say
there's all kinds of things floating around, which is why I'm asking you that on here, because I'm sure that a lot of our viewers are thinking, what are we going to do? Because we don't want to entertain any of this.
Yeah, I would say that you can definitely ask people to leave your property, and they need to comply, or you can call the police. You can certainly resist answering. You don't ever have to answer anyone. The best that the federal government's ever going to be able to do is incentivize you to get the shot. They're not going to be able to force it, period. That's why Joe came out this past weekend and said that the White House will support private entities, companies, mandating the vaccines for their employees, because they know that's the safest bet for forcing it on the American people. Because most people will just do it because they don't want to get in trouble in their job. They don't want to get fired. So they will just do it and move on down the road. And Democrats aren't stupid. They know that the path of least resistance is the one that they're going to take. But I mean, no trespassing signs. You can put something on your door that just says no soliciting. That helps. People that will solicit anyway are, that's right up their alley. So if the federal government ever decides to come around and start asking about vaccines, they're not going to care what sign you have on their door. They're going to do it anyway because that's the power they think they have. You had a question. I don't want to miss this. I like answering people's questions when they ask me directly. Mel White asks about Hannity. I bought Let Freedom Ring the minute it came out from Sean Hannity, and I've read several of his books. I've listened to him for a long time. I always kind of looked at Sean Hannity as sort of the guy who swooped in right after Rush, repeated most of what Rush had to say, had a few guests, and kind of just kept that next 3-hour spot moving forward. I never really thought much of his overall
Look what I just found.
Thinking ability. Where'd you get that?
We bought it when we went to Barnes & Noble. Sorry, guys, personal moment, because I just ordered this. I have
Is it too late to cancel your order?
Probably not. This is what I'm reading, y'all.
Okay, so this goes right to that question from Mel. You want somebody to listen to and read and try to digest if you can, that's your guy. Because ever since, okay, here you go. I'll just pull them out. Why not? Since we're showing,
Why not?
I don't have my Men in Black. I think you might have it, but
I do. Sorry.
I've been reading all of these guys for so long. I can't hardly keep them all straight. But Sean Hannity's fine. He's great. I mean, he's not the most original thinker in the world, but he doesn't have to be.
Right.
I think his character's solid. I know Mark Levin really appreciates him and likes him, and I've always liked Mark Levin. I've been reading Mark since 2004, and he's fantastic. And I think he's one of the smartest. Yes. Mark Levin is probably the smartest, sharpest conservative author out there right now in terms of somebody who he's just very, very solid. The Thompson Book Club. There you go.
Oh, Ruben says, what if I put up a sign saying beware of snakes? That might work better than a no trespassing sign. I'm just going to say. Snakes and spiders and mice.
If you put that sign up, why don't you get one of those Ring doorbells so we can watch them all looking up and looking around? No, whatever it takes to prevent people from accosting you, do it within the law. I mean, you don't have any right to shoot somebody or set up a snare gun or anything like that for somebody that knocks on your door, but you certainly have the right to ask them to leave your property, and you definitely have the right to not answer questions about the vaccine, plain and simple.
So, what else do we want to give them before we get off of here? Guys, honestly, there is so much all the time. Like Lucas and I could probably sit down and talk to you guys for 24 hours straight, 7 days a week. There's that much going on. So, okay, Lucas, I don't even know how you want to close it.
Here's how I want to close it. There's a lot happening right now, folks. Okay, let me give you the big ones. Number one, the Congress is about to really go into full steam ahead mode on reconciliation, infrastructure, the For the People Act, all the nonsense. All right. Taking away our gun rights hasn't gone away. It's going to be there. All the things you can think of that are going on in Congress are going on. Do not ignore those fools. Remind your friends and family constantly that we have to pick up the 5 or 6 seats we need in the House to take the House, and we have to get the Senate back. That's number one. Number two, stay on those legislators that represent your districts, your areas, and make sure they know darn good and well where you stand on all of those key issues. Because the Democrats never stop pushing. They never stop moving forward. That's in the truest sense of progressive, that's what they are. Number three, these audits. Arizona, Pennsylvania, potentially. Doug Mastriano, if you hear me, brother, I'm with you. I'm praying for you. I wish you the very best. I know they're going to try to destroy you, and we are out here praying for you, sir. Okay? So Pennsylvania, even in Michigan, Georgia, all the places where these things are going on, where patriots are doing what I called for on January 11th, I believe, on one of these shows, straight out of the hospital, couldn't even breathe. COVID tried to kill me, but I'm still here. I've been saying from the get-go, we've got to improve our election integrity and our election laws, period. That I got to stop saying period. Somebody just reminded me that Biden says it all the time. I said it first. Well, he probably did because he's old, but
he's been in the in government for like 165 years, so I'm sure he said it before you.
These audits they're gonna come to a conclusion, and we're gonna get some answers, right? And I'm hopeful that those answers result in changes, because that's what has to happen. Changes have to happen. They're not going to happen overnight. We got to stay on these people. We got to stay on these folks. We got to keep moving forward. Don't let that stuff go. We'll talk about some of my thoughts on how that could all pan out at some point, but we won't do it tonight. Before we end, what else should we talk about?
I don't know. I think we covered pretty much everything on your list.
Political prisoners. That was going to be my other thing. I wouldn't have gone on January 6th with the idea of stopping the certification that was happening in Congress. Either way, I said well before January 6th, if the there wasn't handled in June, it wasn't going to be handled in January, period. Gosh, stop saying that. I'm telling you, folks, these things can't be fixed after the fact. We have to stand up and make things right before the game is played. You cannot complain about the game after the game is over. How many times have we learned that as kids? If something wasn't right, you need to set it right before you start playing the game, because crying about it afterwards never works for anyone, ever. The best you're going to get is some crazy vacating of a game, and they ain't going to do that when it comes to the president. So you weren't going to change it in January, period. God. You got to help me with that one, Kaylee. I gotta stop saying that, because I really don't like that word. I don't like it. I don't like that Joe says it, so I got to stop it. But here's what I'm saying, folks. Keep pushing on your representatives. Run for something if you have to. Keep primetime patriots growing in effectiveness, in reach, so that these different individuals will see us and hear the kinds of things that you guys are saying and that we're saying, and know that they've got the support of tens of thousands, maybe more, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of patriots that want to get the game played fairly. We want to set up the rules right the first time, so we don't have to cry about it afterwards. That's what I've got for now.
Okay, well, here's what I've got.
Hey, if you're going to play this, I got to stand up and take my hat off.
Whose stripes and Christ